For over 2 centuries, the United States of America stood as one of the most powerful nations on Earth. It survived wars, economic crashes, internal division, and global upheaval. But nothing lasts forever. This is the story of how the US was conquered not by a single enemy, but by a chain of events, missteps, and forces it couldn't stop. It began with division. Years of political gridlock, misinformation, and culture wars split the country from the inside. Red versus blue, coast versus heartland, city versus rural. Dialogue turned to shouting. Compromise vanished. Trust in institutions collapsed. The unity that once held the nation together started to fray. While Americans fought each other with words and, sometimes, more global powers were watching, the economy became more dependent on fragile supply chains and digital infrastructure. Cyber attacks became more common. Foreign adversaries tested vulnerabilities, stealing data, manipulating media, and turning American citizens against each other with propaganda no one could trace. Then came the collapse. A global financial crash. Inflation surged, jobs disappeared, and major cities erupted in protests and riots. In the chaos, state governments began to defy the federal government. Some declared emergencies and refused to enforce national policies. The US was no longer united, it was fragmented. Foreign forces didn't have to land with tanks. They conquered piece by piece. Strategic investments gave them control of ports, farmland, and even voting systems. In key regions, private security firms with foreign backers took over where local police failed. Slowly, control shifted without anyone firing a shot. But not all conquests are subtle. In year 10 of the decline, a coastal blackout triggered by a cyber attack knocked out power to tens of millions. Emergency systems failed. Gridlock paralyzed everything from hospitals to military bases. That's when foreign troops arrived. As invaders, but as peacekeepers, part of a multinational force that claimed to be protecting humanitarian interests. Some Americans welcomed them. Others resisted. Armed militias clashed with organized troops. What was once called a civil war turned into an occupation. The Constitution was suspended. Curfews became normal. Borders were redrawn up by Congress, but by foreign advisors and tech companies with armies of drones. The old United States didn't fall in a single day. It fell through a slow erosion of unity, trust, and resilience. It was conquered not just by soldiers, but by complacency, corruption, and division. In the end, flags still flew, but they weren't American.